Brothers and sisters, today I want to speak to the part of you that is still asleep, not in your body, but in your mind. So many of us drift through life, trapped in illusions, repeating the same patterns, believing we are awake when we are only dreaming. But life is calling you to rise, to master the mind that controls your reality. It is not the world outside that holds you back, it is the world inside your mind. Today we awaken. Today we take control. Today we stop being a victim of our own dreams and start being the master of our mind. Your mind is the kingdom, and it is the only kingdom you truly possess. Everything you see outside, every opportunity, every challenge, every relationship is filtered through the lens of your mind. If the mind is chaotic, the world appears chaotic. If the mind is clear, the world reveals its patterns and its possibilities. Many live their lives in a state of unconscious reaction, allowing thoughts and emotions to drive them like a boat without a rudder. They chase success, happiness, or comfort, thinking the solution is out there, when in fact the real power has always been inside. Mastering the mind does not mean suppressing thoughts or denying emotions. It means understanding the nature of your mind, observing it without judgment, and training it to serve your highest purpose. Just as a king must know his people to rule wisely, you must know your own thoughts and emotions to govern your inner world effectively. The mind, if untamed, will pull you in every direction, creating conflict, fear, and suffering. It will replay past mistakes, anticipate future disasters, and fabricate illusions that keep you trapped. But the moment you begin to notice these patterns, the moment you choose not to react impulsively, the power shifts. Awareness alone starts the process of mastery. When you watch your thoughts and see them for what they are, temporary, fluid, not permanent, you begin to separate from them. You realize that you are not your mind. You are the observer of your mind. This realization is revolutionary because it frees you from the tyranny of unconscious impulses. Mastery of the mind is not achieved in a day. It is cultivated through patience, practice, and discipline. It requires daily attention, the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, and the courage to change habits that no longer serve you. Every time you resist a destructive thought, every time you redirect your attention from fear to clarity, you strengthen your mental muscles. Meditation, reflection, mindful breathing, and deliberate focus are tools, but the true mastery comes from your commitment to remain awake in every moment. Life itself becomes a mirror, reflecting back the state of your mind. If your mind is calm, the world feels calm. If your mind is turbulent, you see turbulence everywhere. The key is to take responsibility for your inner kingdom, to acknowledge that external circumstances are not the rulers of your happiness or your destiny. You are the ruler, the guardian, the master. And when the mind is trained, disciplined, and awake, every decision, every action, and every interaction flows with clarity, purpose, and power. The kingdom of your mind becomes the foundation from which everything in life is built, the anchor in storms, and the compass pointing toward your true potential. Dreams are illusions if you do not act consciously. So often, people live as if they are awake, moving through the motions of life, believing that effort alone will bring them success or happiness. They dream about the life they want, imagine the achievements they desire, and plan endlessly, yet they never truly take conscious action to shape reality. A dream without action is like a seed that falls on barren soil. It may look promising, but it will never grow. Many are trapped in this endless cycle of imagining and waiting, mistaking fantasy for progress. Consciously acting means seeing clearly where you are, understanding your intentions, and aligning your thoughts, words, and deeds with your purpose. It is not enough to wish or hope. Wishing is passive. Waiting is passive. True transformation demands deliberate choices, guided by awareness. Dreams can seduce us into believing that life will change on its own, that happiness will arrive if we simply think positively or wait for luck to intervene. But the universe responds to conscious energy, not idle longing. Every great accomplishment in history, every breakthrough, every act of genius began not with a passive dream, but with a deliberate intention and persistent action. To act consciously, you must first recognize where you are lost in illusion. Ask yourself, which of my dreams are real and which are distractions? Which patterns am I repeating that lead nowhere? Which fears prevent me from stepping forward? Awareness illuminates the difference between a dream that inspires action and a fantasy that keeps you stuck. Acting consciously also requires courage because action often involves risk. To move beyond the comfort of illusion is to face uncertainty, to confront discomfort and to challenge the familiar. Yet this is the path to awakening. When you act consciously, your mind becomes a tool rather than a playground. Every decision, every movement, every effort is intentional. You begin to notice how your energy flows, how opportunities arise, and how obstacles are merely mirrors reflecting the areas where further growth is needed. The dream becomes a guide, not a trap. The mind becomes an ally, not a jailer. And slowly, life shifts from being a series of coincidences to a landscape shaped by your conscious choices. In this process, illusions dissolve. You start seeing the truth behind appearances, the motives behind actions, and the consequences of thoughts. The dreams that once seduced you into inaction now become stepping stones toward mastery. What was once imagined becomes real, not because of luck, but because your awareness and your actions are aligned. And in this alignment, you realize that the power to transform your life has never been outside, it has always been inside you, waiting for you to wake up from the dream and act with conscious mastery. Awareness is the first step to true freedom. Many people move through life in a fog, unaware of the forces that shape their thoughts, their emotions, and their actions. They are carried by habits, conditioned responses, and external influences, believing that the world dictates who they are. But the moment awareness enters, the game changes entirely. Awareness is not merely noticing what is happening around you. It is the profound recognition of what is happening within you. It is seeing your thoughts as they arise, observing your emotions without immediately reacting, and recognizing the patterns that have unconsciously guided your life. This is the doorway to freedom because once you see clearly, you are no longer controlled by what you previously could not notice. Unconscious living is slavery in disguise. Your mind may appear to be free, but if you do not observe it, if you do not understand it, you are its servant, reacting to every impulse, every fear, every desire without choice. Awareness illuminates these patterns. It allows you to step back and witness them, to choose rather than to be chosen, to act rather than to be acted upon. True freedom is not external, it is internal. No amount of wealth, status, or comfort can give you freedom if your mind remains captive to unconscious cycles. The mind that is aware, however, is awake. It sees clearly, it judges less, it navigates challenges with precision and clarity. Awareness also brings responsibility. When you are aware, you recognize that your reactions, your thoughts, and your choices matter. You cannot blame circumstances or other people for your inner state because you see how your mind shapes reality. This recognition is not burdensome, it is empowering. It gives you control over your life in ways that passive living never could. Awareness strengthens through practice. Meditation, reflection, mindfulness in daily actions, all these are ways to cultivate the observer within. You learn to notice subtle thoughts before they escalate into fears, to catch emotions before they drive impulsive behavior, and to understand the roots of patterns that have kept you stuck. Gradually, you begin to live not by habit, not by reaction, but by conscious choice. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You respond to challenges with calm clarity, and you create life intentionally rather than drift in it unconsciously. Awareness transforms ordinary experiences into lessons, mistakes into guidance, and challenges into opportunities for growth. It is the lens that reveals reality as it is, not as your conditioned mind imagines it to be. And in this clarity, freedom emerges naturally. The chains of fear, regret, and confusion begin to dissolve. You are no longer at the mercy of impulses, past conditioning, or external circumstances. Instead, you navigate life as a conscious creator, fully awake, fully alive, and fully free. Thoughts are seeds. Choose carefully what you water. Everything you experience begins as a thought. Every emotion, every action, every outcome starts in the fertile soil of your mind. Yet most people treat their thoughts carelessly, allowing negative ideas, fears, and doubts to take root without notice. They water these seeds by ruminating, overthinking, or giving attention to what is harmful, and slowly, the garden of their mind becomes wild, chaotic, and destructive. But when you understand that thoughts are seeds, you realize that you are the gardener. You decide which ideas will grow and which will wither. Positive, empowering thoughts, when nurtured, create clarity, confidence, and action. Negative, limiting thoughts, when fed, create fear, doubt, and stagnation. It is not the circumstances outside that shape your life as much as the thoughts inside. A single thought, given attention and energy, can blossom into a life-altering habit, a powerful decision, or even a profound destiny. Conversely, ignored or neglected thoughts, left to fester, can grow into fear, anxiety, and failure. This is why awareness of your inner dialogue is so critical. Observe your mind as you would a garden. Notice which thoughts dominate, which ones repeat endlessly, and which ones silently undermine your confidence or distort your perception. When you find a negative thought, do not simply suppress it. That is temporary and superficial. Instead, understand it. Recognize why it arose and consciously redirect your focus toward what empowers you. Cultivate thoughts that align with your purpose, your values, and your vision. Feed them with attention, reflection, and action. Just as a gardener waters and nurtures plants so they grow strong and resilient, you must feed your mind with thoughts that build strength, wisdom, and clarity. Remember that even small, consistent attention to empowering thoughts can transform your life over time. The mind is patient and persistent. It will grow what you allow it to grow. Positive seeds, nurtured daily, produce fruits of creativity, courage, and mastery. Negative seeds, unchecked, yield weeds of doubt, procrastination, and confusion. Choose your mental garden carefully, because it is the foundation for every aspect of your life. Every interaction, every decision, every moment of resilience comes from the state of your mind. If you wish to transform your life, begin here, in the soil of your own consciousness. Water thoughts that awaken your potential, inspire action, and bring clarity. Remove thoughts that drain, distract, or destroy. The mind is not a passive space, it is an active force, and the seeds you plant today determine the harvest you will reap tomorrow. Master this principle, and you begin to master life itself. The power lies not in external circumstances, not in luck or chance, but in the cultivation of your own thoughts, and in the deliberate choice of which emotional reactions are chains. Observe, don't obey. Most people believe that their emotions are uncontrollable forces that must be expressed, acted upon, or succumbed to. When anger rises, they lash out. When fear strikes, they retreat. When sadness overwhelms, they sink into despair. Yet every unexamined emotional reaction is a chain, binding the mind to automatic patterns that limit freedom and clarity. To be emotionally free does not mean to suppress feelings or deny their existence. It means to become the observer of your emotions, to watch them arise, flow, and fade without being swept away by them. When you react unconsciously to every emotion, you are no longer the master of your mind, you are its prisoner. Anger may destroy relationships, fear may halt progress, and anxiety may cloud judgment. But when you observe without immediate reaction, a remarkable transformation occurs. You realize that emotions are signals, not commands. They inform you about your inner state, your values, or your unmet needs, but they do not define you. The moment you notice anger, you can ask, why has this arisen? Is this fear rational? Is this sadness rooted in reality or in a story I am telling myself? Awareness creates space. In that space, you choose your response consciously rather than react impulsively. This is true power, the ability to respond rather than be driven by impulses. Emotions, when observed, lose their tyrannical grip. You discover that even the most intense feelings are temporary, flowing. Like clouds across the sky of your consciousness, you are not the storm, you are the sky in which it moves. Developing this skill requires practice, patience, and discipline. Meditation, breath work, and reflection help cultivate the observer within, the part of you that witnesses emotions without judgment. Daily life becomes a training ground. Every frustration, every conflict, every wave of excitement or sadness becomes an opportunity to strengthen your ability to remain centered, aware, and in control. Over time, you will notice that the mind is quieter, the heart is steadier, and decisions become clearer. You no longer give away your power to impulses, to social pressures, or to past conditioning. Emotional mastery does not make you cold or unfeeling. It makes you fully alive, fully present, and fully empowered. You can engage with the world with compassion without being consumed by it. You can love without fear, act without hesitation, and speak without reactivity. Chains are broken when observation replaces obedience. The mind and heart work in harmony rather than conflict. Life, with all its challenges and joys, becomes a mirror reflecting your conscious strength, not a whirlwind pulling you in every direction. And in this practice of observing rather than obeying, you realize that freedom was never somewhere outside, it was always within you, waiting for you to see it, waiting for you to claim it, waiting for you to master it. Discipline in the mind translates into mastery in life. Without discipline, the mind drifts like a ship without a rudder, subject to every wave of distraction, impulse, and fleeting desire. Most people underestimate the power of mental discipline, thinking it is rigid, cold, or joyless, when in reality it is the foundation of freedom, clarity, and achievement. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to follow rules imposed from outside. It is about training your mind to act in alignment with your highest purpose, consistently and intentionally. Every thought you allow to dominate, every reaction you choose, every focus you cultivate shapes the architecture of your consciousness. If you permit chaos, distraction, or laziness to dictate your inner world, your outer life mirrors this lack of control. Goals remain unfulfilled, relationships falter, opportunities slip away, and the mind becomes restless and dissatisfied. But when discipline is cultivated within, mastery emerges effortlessly. Discipline is not a single act, it is a continuous practice, a daily commitment to guide the mind with intention. It begins with small acts, controlling where your attention goes, deciding which thoughts to entertain, choosing constructive habits over destructive ones, and refusing to surrender to immediate gratification. Over time, these small victories accumulate, creating strength, resilience, and clarity. Discipline sharpens focus. When the mind is disciplined, it can concentrate on what truly matters, ignoring distractions, noise, and temptation. It can navigate challenges with patience rather than panic, pursue goals with dedication rather than drift, and maintain inner calm even when the world is turbulent. Discipline also cultivates freedom. Paradoxically, by imposing structure and intentionality on your mind, you free yourself from the tyranny of impulses and external circumstances. You no longer react blindly, you respond consciously, you no longer drift in confusion, you move with purpose. This inner mastery naturally translates into life mastery. Success is rarely the result of luck. It is the result of consistent, disciplined thought, effort, and choice. Mastery of the mind allows you to master time, emotions, relationships, and actions. Every decision becomes deliberate. Every step becomes guided by clarity, and every challenge becomes an opportunity to exercise control rather than surrender to chaos. Discipline in the mind is also the source of resilience. Life will always present obstacles, setbacks, and uncertainties, but a disciplined mind remains steady, focused, and adaptable. It does not crumble under pressure or wander in confusion. Instead, it navigates difficulty with grace, learning from experience and maintaining vision. The seeds of discipline you plant today grow into the harvest of mastery tomorrow. Your inner world shapes your outer reality. Master your mind with discipline, and life begins to reflect your power, wisdom, and purpose. Mastery is not about perfection. It is about consistency, awareness, and the unwavering commitment to align thought with action, moment by moment, day by day, until the mind itself becomes the foundation of an extraordinary life. Let go of the false self to reveal the true self. Most people live their lives under the weight of illusions, wearing masks that society, fear, or habit has imposed upon them. The false self is the accumulation of expectations, judgments, and identities that are not genuinely yours. It is the version of yourself shaped by approval, avoidance of pain, or the desire to appear a certain way. It is the voice that says, "I must be this," or "I cannot show that," keeping you confined, restrained, and disconnected from your authentic being. The problem is that most are unaware of this false self. They live fully convinced it is who they are, reacting from it, defining success and failure through it, and building their entire life around its fragile structures. Yet the true self, the essence within, is vast, free, and unshakable. It is the observer of thoughts, the witness to emotions, the core that remains steady when the outer world changes. To awaken, to master your mind, and to live fully, you must let go of the false self. Letting go does not mean abandoning responsibility or ignoring practical life. It means ceasing to identify with the masks, the roles, and the pretenses that obscure your authenticity. Begin by observing the ways in which you conform to expectations that are not truly yours. Notice the fears that compel you to act inauthentically. Recognize the patterns that keep you chasing approval, possessions, or status as a substitute for genuine self-expression. Awareness itself begins the dissolution of the false self. As you see these patterns, the power of the false self diminishes. You start to realize that approval from others, external recognition, and even the pursuit of comfort are temporary illusions that cannot fulfill the deeper longing of the soul. Slowly, with patience and courage, the layers of falsehood peel away. You begin to speak honestly, act with integrity, and embrace your natural inclinations without hesitation. You find freedom in saying no to what does not serve you and yes to what resonates with your inner truth. The true self is revealed in this alignment, in the clarity and courage to live according to your own values and purpose, rather than the dictates of fear or expectation. As the false self fades, you feel a lightness, an expansion of consciousness, and a deep sense of presence. Life becomes more vibrant, relationships become more genuine, and decisions become more aligned with who you truly are. Letting go is not an event, it is a process, a lifelong practice of peeling back layers, questioning assumptions, and choosing authenticity over pretense. Every moment of awareness, every choice to honor your true self, strengthens your inner freedom and deepens your connection with reality as it is. In revealing the true self, you awaken to the limitless potential within, the clarity of mind, and the profound peace that comes from no longer being imprisoned by illusions. Presence is the doorway to awakening. Most people live either in the past, replaying memories, regrets, and disappointments, or in the future, imagining fears, doubts, and desires that have not yet materialized. Rarely do they truly inhabit the present moment, the only place where life is actually happening. The mind, when lost in what was or what might be, becomes restless, anxious, and distracted. True awakening begins when you bring your attention fully into the now, when you allow yourself to experience life without judgment, resistance, or constant distraction. Presence is not merely noticing the external world, it is an inward attention, a deep awareness of your own consciousness as it exists in this moment. When you are present, you observe your thoughts, emotions, and sensations as they arise and pass without clinging or aversion. You are no longer driven by automatic reactions or conditioned patterns. The present moment is the doorway to freedom because it is the only space in which you can act consciously, make deliberate choices, and engage authentically with life. To cultivate presence, begin with your breath. The breath is always here, always now. By observing it, feeling it, and aligning with it, you anchor yourself in the moment. Every breath becomes a reminder that life unfolds only in the now, that power resides only in the awareness of this instant. Presence also requires letting go of mental clutter, the incessant stream of thoughts, worries, and judgments that obscure clarity. Observe these thoughts without getting lost in them. Allow them to arise and fade, and return your attention to the simple awareness of being. The practice of presence transforms ordinary experiences into profound encounters. Eating, walking, speaking, or listening becomes infused with clarity and depth. You notice subtleties that were previously hidden and experience emotions with understanding rather than reaction. Presence dissolves the illusion of separation, connecting you to life as it truly is, not as your mind interprets it. When fully present, you are no longer a slave to past conditioning or future anxieties. You are awake, alive, and fully engaged. Challenges become opportunities to exercise mindfulness, patience, and conscious action. Joy and peace are no longer dependent on circumstances, but emerge naturally from the conscious inhabitation of the moment. Presence also sharpens discernment. When you are fully aware, decisions are no longer based on habit, fear, or impulsivity. They arise from clarity and insight. You act from a place of alignment with your values and purpose, rather than being pulled by external pressures or inner turmoil. The more you practice presence, the more the mind settles into its natural state of calm, focus, and openness. Life flows with greater ease, relationships deepen, and your connection to reality strengthens. Presence is the doorway to awakening because it reveals the truth of who you are and the reality of life as it is, free from illusion, distraction, and attachment. It is in this awakened presence that mastery of the mind, mastery of life, and ultimate freedom are realized.